Hey everybody, Mark from Northeast Bass Fishing. How you doing? Well, I've got some clips I put together here. Now, I did make a mistake at the end. You'll see I kind of put something out of order, but this is my first fish of the day, and this is one of those days that the best way I can say is this was a really good day. That could have been a great day, and you'll see why as we go through here. But this was the first fish of the day, about 15 minutes in. Just throwing that, shockingly, guys, that robo worm Ned, just dragging it along the bottom. Catch this nice bass. And it's just been a great bait for me lately. Just been great. And it was a nice chunk. I caught some nice fish. And as you'll see, I did lose a few good ones too. But I guess when you're getting a lot of bites, you can't complain too much. But this is, probably about 7:15 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning or so. Just working down the shoreline, throwing that net out. And probably, I don't know, I'm going to guess, from what I remember, about 10 to 15 feet. And catch this nice largie. I think this is a largie. I don't remember if this is a largie or the smallie. Okay, this is a smallie. You can see that Ned worm right there. And that's that midnight color, which on this day was awesome, which is like their black and blue. So nice smallie. And that's the front view. There's the worms right there. This, I believe, is the, I don't have the back camera on yet, and that's what kind of screwed me up. It's because I started filming on that late, and then I got some of my clips out of order. But this, I believe, is the second fish of the day, which was just a pickerel. So I figured I'll show the pickerel some love, too, instead of just editing them out. And you'll see him. Of course, he gets on. He doesn't get off. The pickerel. You'll see what I mean in a second here. Of course, the pickerel doesn't get off. I'm still just dragging the net around. And this day, as you'll see, is pretty much, I threw moving baits, nothing. Chatterbaits, spinner baits, some crankbaits, nothing. They wanted baits on the bottom or really close to it. So this is just your typical pickerel here, which of course messes up your line. Of course, I've got both of my dogs just started jumping on me as I'm trying to do this voiceover, so I apologize if anything gets muffled here in the next few minutes. But there you can see that pickerel, and of course he's got it T-boned. But, actually the roboworm net is pretty durable. I mean, this bait took a beating, and I think I only went through 2 or 3 of them throughout the day. You can see a little pickerel there, so I'll give them. Now this, unfortunately, was the next cast, or a couple casts later, and it's a good fish, and you'll see what happens, unfortunately. You always think the Ned is going to be a really good bite, and they're not going to get off it, but it does happen occasionally. And there he goes, and that was a nice fish, as you guys can see. And, I was, well, what are you going to do? Sometimes you get them, and sometimes you lose them, but that was a really good bass. Popped off, and so I just keep moving down the shoreline. And there's a few minutes later, you can see there's like a little rock hump there in front of me. Just working up to it to catch a nice bass here. I didn't catch a lot of smallmouth on the day. I'm trying to remember. Off the top of my head, it was mostly largemouth. It was probably about, if I caught 3 smallies, 4 maybe. But most of them were largies. There's that net again. Nice chunk. And a lot of nice chunks, too. Even though I lost that one good one a minute ago, just got this guy. So went down the shoreline a little bit and got this guy. And you can see the wind was starting to pick up there a little bit. And like I said, I tried spinner baits, chatterbaits, nothing. That was a nice one. Here's just another view of it. And that was what I was afraid of, that I messed up, because I thought I had my front view and back views out of order, which I only really did. I screwed up once at the end, which you'll see. But I think I got these pretty close to the way they're supposed to be for most of the video. But, it's just, I'm just working that, anywhere from 8 to probably 17 feet with that Ned, just chucking it out. At Wicked Weights tungsten head. I think I'm throwing the 5th ounce and the 6th ounce, working those 2 weights, and just throwing it on the bottom, popping it along, dragging it along, and every now and then you get a nice one. That's just the back view of that nice fish I caught before. Just on that Ned. So far, at this point of the day, it's all Ned fishing, all Ned fishing. And just keep working down the shoreline. The sun was kind of in and out that day. You know, there's a lot of rocks along the shoreline, but they were out. They were not on the shore. They were not tight. I went and fished some stuff close to the bank. Nothing going on there. I had to be out. Like that 8 to 10. So, you know, you guys in this, late summer period, early fall period, if you're not getting anything shallow, move off the bank. Get into that, that 8, 10, 12, 15 or deeper range and work the bottom. That's where these fish were. And this is another nice one. So as you can see, it's the start of a good day. If I hadn't gotten that big one in the boat, it would have really been great. But these are all good chunks, all good chunky bass, all on that Ned. That's that midnight color, that roboworm midnight color. And the breeze picked up and it did get a little cooler, so I put my other shirt on. This is just a back view of that fish. You can see I'm just throwing it out there, dragging it along, and they're just picking it up off the bottom. And you can see like those rocks in the shoreline there. I went and fished all those. I fished a lot of them with a spinnerbait when the wind picked up, chatterbait, nothing. Nothing on them. Flipped, whenever I saw like a lay down, I'd flip a jig on it, nothing there. But, it's the start of a really, really good day. All solid chunks. All solid chunks so far. That's why I'd prefer not to use the net. But, with that 8-pound line, I don't really want to swing these guys in on a on 8-pound line on a spinning rod. So I'm just continuing to work down the shoreline and catch another bass here. This one is a little guy. Just give you a quick view of him. I don't want to leave out all of them. Well, just a little guy here. Small keeper. Continuing with the Ned. And at this point, I've thrown pretty much a Ned, a drop shot, a chatterbait, and a spinnerbait, and one of the hybrid hunters. And maybe even a square bill if I remember correctly. But the only thing they wanted was that Ned. That's the only thing I could get them on at that point. Was on a Ned. I hadn't even gotten anything going really with I hadn't gotten anything going with the drop shot yet, even though the drop shot on this day was not as good as the Ned. But there you go. Give you a little view of this guy. This is just the back view from the back of the boat. I'm just throwing out. It's kind of like a little point there that I just passed. So I was just kind of checking out. Usually catch some on that point. When you drag it around, there's some scattered weeds on it. And this guy bit. I'll just give you a back view of him as I swing him into the boat here in a sec. So, another keeper. Not as big as those other ones, but a nice fish. Now, here comes, I hope I have these all edited together. Here comes, and when I get another case of the dropsies, where 2 nice fish in a row practically get off. This is the close view of it, which does happen occasionally. On this day, I did lose a few ones, and there he goes. So I cast out again. I hope I have these all edited together well. Here's the better view of it, because I've got like a wind knot and I'm picking it out, getting my line straightened out, which a lot of times happens because you're leaving the bait dead stick, and don't be surprised when you reach down and you've got a fish on. So I'm like, okay, good, all right, and it's a good one. It's another nice one. And this is after going about a half hour, 45 minutes with no bites. But of course, you guys just saw before, he's a little camera shy. So he does not want to be. But it was a good one. And he comes flying up out of the water. and he decides he's going to spit the bait out. So I'm like, oh, here we go again. So I throw it again, right out in front of the boat. Got another one on. All right, good. There's fish in this corner. Excellent. I'm happy, and he decides to get off too. So here you can see it again. That, sometimes they just get off. Sometimes it happens to all of us. So this is all edited out, so you don't hear me swearing when the fish gets off. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? 2 in a row, and both nice ones. Both nice fish. Both get off. It's like, what the heck is going on? So then I throw I'm kind of on the outside. You can kind of see that lay down there to the right. I throw out by this lay down, and this tree sticks out even farther than it looks. It goes out pretty far. So I throw the net in there and catch one, and of course he swims right into the tree. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go again. I'm going to lose another one. But what you do, if that ever happens to you, and you'll be able to see it better from the back view, is to just keep pressure on him. If he gets into, a tree like that, just keep the pressure on. Don't horse it. You're going to break your line. Just give him a chance. And my dog just jumped on me again. Just let him swim out of there. A lot of times they'll swim out of the cover, and you can get him in the boat, which luckily worked for me. Just be patient. And after losing 2, that's not easy. Because if you look straight ahead there, that's where I lost those 2 fish, like right by that area. And that net's starting to get beat up. I think at this point I went to the green pumpkin. I was just throwing the straight green pumpkin. But here's the back view of that. So when the fish bites, he's going to swim. You can kind of see the tree going out into the deeper water. And he's going to, bass are going to swim for some kind of a cover to try to, get away. So he tried to swim. He swam right in there. And I was like, and right here, he's stuck. He's in the branch coming out. So I just kept the pressure on him, didn't horse him, let him swim, and he swam out of there. Once he swims out, then you can just bring him into the boat normally. And after this, my line was in bad shape. You can see he kind of swam out there. It probably wasn't the greatest idea in the world to try to lift it like that, because my line definitely needed to be retied after. But you can see all the branches going in there. And he swam right towards it, as you can imagine. Now, he may have come out of that to eat my bait, for all I know, and then wanted to go right back in when he was hooked up. But, nice fish. Of course, the 2 really, ones that are really good get off. And this one, that's not bad, but not as big as those, you catch. But, as I said, what are you going to do? Then I started working down this bank, and this is a rocky bank. And I started throwing, I believe this is when I started throwing the Beast Coast, the open water sniper. And I was just dragging it along the bottom. And from this view, you're going to see the fish catch. But I'll show you, and I'll give you a little tip here in a minute when you see the back view of it, which is better. I almost wonder if I should just, use the back view, even though, I guess the close-ups of the fish are nice too. So maybe a combo is not the worst thing I do. But I was just dragging that Beast Coast jig, football head jig, the open water sniper along the bottom, and caught this nice largie. And you'll see him up here pretty close. And I think it's just one of the green pumpkin melon ones. I'm not sure what color, but those greenish ones, which I throw the most. But all their colors are nice. You can see he's got that Beast Coast, and it's got a Strike King baby rage tail trailer on it. So here I'm throwing it out, and I'm going to get stuck. I'm hung up on the rock. So right now I'm hung up on the rock. So, once you get your line free, like I did, just by, banging the line there, all of a sudden that bait kind of jumps off. When it gets off, comes down the other side of the rock, and then he hits it. So if that happens to you and you get hung up, if you can, pop the line, get the bait off, let it fall back down, and then maybe you'll catch that fish that was there. Because a lot of times, I think sometimes, when you're hung up, I think if the fish are just staring at the bait when it's hung up, because you're making a lot of, you're moving it a lot, trying to get it free. And just kind of, moving that line, popping it off, and it's a nice bass. And it came down right on the other side of that tree, or that rock, and he ate it. So now I kind of turned around and went back to where I missed those two and caught, and I threw back and catch another one here, just on the Ned. Just threw it out, kind of went back in the way I've been before. Catch another one. Not a monster, but a nice one. Another largie. So I think at this point, I think I've only got one smallie in the boat. But you'll get a good view of them here in a second. Another one on the Ned. So at this point of the day, all my fish are on a Ned and that one that I got on the Beast Coast. I tried that for a while, throwing the open water sniper around, but just got that one on it. And here's that fish you just saw. I just kind of turned back and went the way I had just come. That tree that you saw before is to my left. And I just kind of got out a little further away from it, threw out so the fish couldn't get, try to swim into it as much. I caught that one you just saw. I'm just chucking that Ned out there. I did make some casts with the open water sniper, drag that around. But the Ned was definitely the bait of choice by the fish. Here I am working down the shoreline. And you can see I'm away from the bank. As I said, I tried to fish the bank. I prefer to fish shallow, but there just wasn't anything going on the bank. So I had to be out here. I'm guessing I'm anywhere from 10 to 15 feet, dragging that net around. There's scattered grass. There's scattered rocks. And this guy, of course, has to bite to the left side of the boat, even though I got the cameras kind of pointing to the right side. But another nice largie. I don't believe this is a smallie, from what I remember. No, just another largie. Not that I'm going to complain. I'm happy with either one. But it had gotten at this point a little more overcast. And here, I believe, was a nice smallie on the drop shot. And there he goes. So that's like 4 good fish I had on that day that got off. And that was a nice smallie. I think there's another view. I know I got the white rod in my hand, so I know that's one of my drop shot rods. And I'm throwing that. This actually might be that fish, that previous fish. These are kind of out of order. Maybe I don't have a long view of the fish getting off yet. This is that one I caught before that. This is where along here is where I kind of mess up my order a little bit of my clips. But here's just a close view of that fish. You guys can get a good look at that bass that I did catch before that smallie got off. And he's jumping all around in the net. But nice largie. I think he jumped around so much he got the hook out of himself. But that was that guy. So there's a close view. Here is the close view. So I kind of got those mixed up in the positioning of those two. So here's the smallmouth and the drop shot. I throw it out, and boom, he's gone. I was like, what the heck? So it's like, what's that? 4 nice fish to get off. Of course, a few minutes later, I'm just coming up the shoreline, throwing the net around, and I do catch a smallie. But of course, a little dink like that gets right in the boat. Just a little guy, though. Just a little guy. So then I went back over. I went back over to where I started because it was so good. And here's where I think I might mess up an order of a. I'm back on that rock hump there, little rock. And I think this might be a smallie. I don't remember. But I think the close view, I think I put out of order. It'll show up here eventually on the video. But when I get the fish out of the water, I'll remember if it was a smallie or not. No, that looks like a largie to me. But then it got hot again. So I was just kind of working back along the shoreline that I had worked up in the morning. I'm working it back. And it seemed like when I got kind of like towards the left there where it's a little shadier, it seemed like when I threw, kind of got more by the shade. I got a few bites. Of course, this one, if I remember right, is going to come flying up to the surface and get off. So there's my fifth leaper of the day that decided he did not want to be on camera. But I just threw right back out, and this guy I get. So there was a couple nice fish along here that you'll see. And you can see some people coming up on their kayaks, which I wound up talking to for a little while. They were watching me fish for a minute. There's my fans right there. So they were watching me fish for a few minutes. This is a few minutes later. Get another one. I don't remember if I got a smallie through here or not. I seem to remember that I did. This is where there might be a couple of clips that might be a little out of order. But you guys can, if you guys check out my shorts too, and if you've seen them, you'll see these fish too in those shorts. This was a decent one. Usually if I have time to get the net, that means they're not getting off. When they got off like in the first 2 seconds of busting the surface. But this is a pretty good one, if I remember correctly. Just talking. If you see me talking, I'm not talking to myself. I was talking to those two people on their boats. But you'll see this fish. I'll get him out of the net here in a sec. So I get my line untangled. But this was a nice one. This was a nice largie. One of the nicer ones of the day. Even though I did catch a lot of nice ones, this was a good one. Not as good as that first one that got off, I don't think. I just kind of sat him down in the water to try and calm him down a little bit. But you guys can see to get a good look at him. It's a nice bass. That was one of the better ones of the day right there. And of course, he had the line all wrapped around himself for jumping around the net so much. But at this point of the day, it had gotten pretty hot out. But nice one on the Ned. The Ned was the bait of choice. The Ned was definitely the bait of choice. He's got the line all wrapped around him. And here's where I messed up. Here's that one. This is like, 2 fish ago. I was back by that because I got my shirt on. When I saw it, when I went through the order, I was like, oops. There's just a close-up view of that largie that I caught. Figured I'd throw that in there for you. That was when I was back by that little rock hump. But another nice largie on the Ned. That robo worm Ned has been awesome. I'll give you a good view of him here in a second. And I think I don't know if I'm throwing that midnight now or that green pumpkin. Maybe we'll see it here. But you see a nice one. Oh, actually, that one might be on the drop shot. It might be on the flatworm. Now that I look at it, that might be a flatworm fish. Yep. Wow, a drop shot. All right. Now here I'm going back, and you'll see the one. This is the one where he jumps off. So I got these kind of a little bit out of order at the end there. Apologize for that. So I don't know, I lost count of the good ones that got off. 4 or 5. I'm trying to forget. There's that one that I flopped into the boat. So these ones at the end just kind of got a little mixed up in their order. Here's just you're just getting the close-up view. But at this point of the day, it was getting a little hot out. A little smallie. Hey, I got another smallie, all right. I thought I got a smallie along there. And here's that big one that will kind of end the day just from this view. It's a nice fish. Nice fish. So as you guys can see, if you're still awake during this, I hope it wasn't too boring. As you can see, just throwing that net out, dragging it around, catching some good ones. Just, fishing it nice and slow, dragging it along the bottom, getting out in that 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 feet. Sometimes I was in 20 dragging it around. And just catching a fish here and there. Yeah, sure, hey, some get off. That happens. When you're getting a lot of bites, you're going to lose some fish. But at least I knew I was doing the right thing. I was in the right depth range. And, just keep working it. They wanted the Ned. And it was pretty much the green pumpkin Ned, that robo worm Ned, and that midnight color, which is like the black and blue. But it was nice to end the day with a nice one here. and it was good. It was good, as you guys can see. So I mean, if I had those other 5 in the boat that got off, it really would have been great. So hope you guys enjoyed it. As I said, it was pretty much a Ned day. A little bit on the drop shot. The one on the football head, which was a nice fish. Other than that, that was pretty much what was. They didn't want anything moving. Didn't want any moving baits, and it's usually a pretty good chatterbait. Like I even threw the frog a little bit in spots. I had a couple little blow ups. That was it. So hope you guys enjoyed it. There's that nice fish, and I will see you guys soon on YouTube. Mark out.